I saw a flyer for it, and I thought that looked interesting. So I read about it online, talked to some people, and just decided to come to the first day, and I thought it was incredible. Just the energy in the room. I mean, there were 90 plus people in here. We weren't sitting at desks. We were all around the podiums with these packets that said, you know, the wallet design, the teaching team. Everyone seemed really excited about the first day, and that was a change from most other classes. Most other classes, you're like, ah, great, start school.
Normally, I meet just one kind of person. I mean, everyone's unique and different and everyone brings their own kind of thing to the table. But for the last 4 years, I've interacted mainly with graduate students in my field or related to my field somehow. So the kind of conversation you have, the kind of interaction, the kind of exchange of ideas you have is of a particular quality. And this was just so different from that. It was just so diverse. I mean, like one of my teams had a journalist and I had a food scientist and an engineer, and then there was me, you know, and it was a whole different dynamic. You know, everyone had a very different perspective to add.
One big aha for me was the value of showing someone a prototype. How much more useful that is, how much more generative that is than just talking to someone about your idea. Even if it's so simple, even if it's just a really crude drawing you have, there's something very different in a social interaction about handing someone something, almost like a gift, having them receive it and look at it as you're explaining to them you know, what this prototype means, or maybe not even having to explain anything. There's some kind of alchemy that happens where they can imagine it more fully than if you just explained it. And so physically holding a prototype is something that I'll try to do from now on whenever I'm trying to get user feedback or you know, research into any field. That was a real aha moment.
I think kind of DP2, really understanding the process, came when I had to come up with a point of view, or our group had to come up with a point of view. And when we decided that the Golden Years experience is like kindergarten, and I said, I don't know, it just like all made sense at that point. Like here you have this user group, and for them it's like kindergarten, and then in what ways is it like kindergarten? It's like you're leaving kind of your comfort zone, your family's out of the house, you have to leave your family and create new friends and create a new network, and it's scary, you don't know what activities you're going to do, are you going to be happy, will you make friends? And so understanding the analogy to kindergarten helped us kind of solve the problem. Okay, like what would help kindergartners? And brainstorming on that. Okay, well how can that also help baby boomers? And I don't know, it just kind of like all made sense, like the user testing, and we really understand their point of view. And then, okay, let's go from there. And it was really exciting to brainstorm after that.
I really love this moment when you brainstorm and it was the case in DP2 and DP3 when someone says this idea and it kind of aggregates everything that we've been talking and looking for with insight and brainstorming during the previous weeks. So it feels like I really love that this particular moment. So for DP2, for instance, we were doing this video and it wasn't working that well, and it was kind of difficult to explain, and they felt like not comfortable about it. So we had to think of another way, and we came up with at one point with the idea of a comic book. It was exactly what we wanted because it's kind of enhanced and they would feel more comfortable about it, and it's every generation like comics. So, and this particular moment was so exciting, and it was kind of the same with the Willy Wonka shop for DP3. So yeah, and the fat chick costume. So like this very moment, it's like you know, Archimedes, like Eureka, I found it, and we got what we need and what we've been looking for. Exactly.
I think it now kind of pervades the way I approach any problem or anything I'm doing. Because I've been immersed in this experience, in all my other classes and outside of classes, anytime we're trying to come up with an idea, I automatically jump into this process. And what should I go get at the grocery store today? And it was like, you know, and start talking to the people who are going to be coming over for our barbecue tonight. And then I look at, well, what do you really want out of this experience? Okay, I think I know the perfect drink for that, you know, and get those. I mean, there's just so many ways to apply it, but it's almost, you know, unconscious now.
in my first team, I was never confident that like we'd be having conversations that we were talking about the same resolution level of whatever it was. If it was like, how did that interview go? And I'm like, it went great, we got what you needed. And my other team was like, I really felt we could have gone further on this and this and this question. And I was like, okay, so maybe at that resolution level I agree with you there. So like there was this, what level are you talking at? Because the design thinking goes up and down levels so quickly. And even to the point that when we were in team time talking about it, I'm like, not confident that they're talking about the same level I'm talking about, which then I'm like, well, then my meaning's being lost because you don't know what I'm talking about. And we were trying to put together a storyboard, and it ended up being like we physically had to just draw pictures for one another about what we were trying to say. And it was just so funny how we just went to that because we knew we weren't communicating at the right level, and we're like, no, like, this is exactly what I mean. Let me draw a picture for you. And it worked just so well, and this is something that I'm going to try to continue to remember as I go through my work. And I'm like, you know what, maybe I'm going to put a picture in this like paper I'm handing in, because it really is going to say what I'm trying to say or capture it a little bit better.
I especially like the last day when they say make this design process your own. I was like, yes, great. It's really motivating. It's and you do better things, I guess. You do things that you wouldn't have done if not going through this design thinking process.
I definitely think the class was great for building creative confidence. I think that's something that you don't really get in law school, and people are kind of afraid to go out on a limb and try crazy ideas and afraid of failing. So I think this really instills in you to just like come up with the crazy ideas and, you know, work with those and go from there. And it's okay if you don't have an idea like right off the bat. And just, I think my own creative ability, I think I feel more confident in that after going through this class.
The reason you want to invest in design thinking is that it encourages people to be like transformative citizens. Like they look at problems within their lives, so they have a bias towards like looking at the user and what the user needs, as opposed to like recommending or prescribing solutions for their lives that are out of context. So that opens up pathways to be like transformative, to be an agent in people's lives and in your life as well. Design thinking is also a lot about action as opposed to thought, and I feel as though like in, you know, the academic world we tend to sequester ourselves, right, and focus on research and scholarship. But I think, you know, integrating design thinking in the academic world will help us to find a way to integrate the two to balance out intellectual thought and like real life experiences, and have a sort of lived curriculum that people can subscribe to.
In science, it's appreciated, like the really good scientists always make that extra leap and, you know, have these crazy ideas, and that's when, you know, they really get something to work. But that's very hard to do when you're working within a structured framework. And I think that's one thing that I'm definitely going to take away. And this whole freedom of, you know, of thinking, just go for it, and, you know, don't restrict yourself in any one direction. Just sort of, you know, throw it out there and see where it goes. I don't know how exactly I'm going to incorporate that, but I'm going to try.
Coming to Stanford was not a given for me. I was really both feet in, actually, at a different school, and had some really good conversations with people who'd come from Stanford, like, just, you need to go. It's going to be the right fit for you. And having this boot camp experience, I'm just like, yes, this is what I needed. Like, I'm going to look back, and this is going to be one of those life moments where, like, just the confidence to, like, articulate my ideas, and that they don't have to conform to someone else's box, and it's actually maybe more valuable that they don't. And just the inherent life confidence on, like, being who you are in group work settings is such a gift. And so I think that is probably one of the most important things I'm taking away from this experience. So just like a giant thank you, because you can't intentionally construct that. It just has to be given. And I like received it, and it's just been like awesome.